So now I'd like to welcome to the stage our faculty speaker for the evening from the Recording Arts and Show Production program, Michael Cochran.
Hello. How's everyone today? Good. I'm happy to be here. It's really cool. I have to say this is not my forte, so it's quite a bit different than standing up in front of 10 of you and talking about Pro Tools. So we'll see how this goes. I'm honored to be here. Today I want to tell you three quick little stories about my life, and maybe two. We'll see what time holds. But I wanted to tell you two or three stories, and some of you have heard them. I've had several of you in class, and grown quite fond of all of you, and you all inspire me, so thank you. But so some of you have heard these stories, some of you haven't, but maybe with a little bit of life under your belt since then, you'll be able to take maybe a little something else from this. But so you can also thank Steve Jobs for this. I was going to wing this speech and then thought that's probably not a good idea. So I started frantically watching commencement speeches and came across Steve Jobs's, so I may have borrowed some ideas from his. But so the first story is about connecting dots. And so when I started out in college, I was interested in becoming a cardiologist. So I was doing a dual major in music and medicine. And you guys probably know how intense music is, and medicine's probably equally as intense, maybe more. But I was doing a dual major because music was giving me a full ride. And so I was doing both majors, got through my first semester. I was like, holy hell, this is crazy. I'm not going to be able to do this. So I had to choose between music and medicine. Well, I called my parents, and I can remember the phone call. Wasn't a good one. I called my parents and explained to them that I was going to stick with music. Well, they freaked out, of course, and they said I could never make money in the music business, that I'd end up as a server or a bartender living out of the backseat of my car, or living paycheck to paycheck. Well, I stuck with my choice, obviously, and dropped the dual major and became full-time music. In '99, I graduated with my bachelor's in music and music comp with an emphasis on music theory. The degree was in no way related to commercial music. It was really a first stepping stone to get me to become a collegiate professor. After graduation, I moved to Orlando and came here because this was a town that I figured had some industry, and my parents were very close to here, so I was able to be near them and still hopefully get into the music business. I came here and thought of ways that I could break into the industry. And so my thought was that I would, because I wanted to be a film scorer, I thought that I would create a flyer and go to Full Sail and put it up at their film department saying that I would score their film. So I waited a few days, and lo and behold, I got a call from a lady that wanted me to score her documentary on Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey's. And I thought this was my big break, and I thought that this was going to be the big moment for me. So I met up with her, had some coffee with her, coffee I paid for. And talked about all the big plans that she had and all the big dreams that she had and all the big things that she had in the works. And lo and behold, long story short, didn't turn out to be true. Turned out to be all fabrications and dreams of a person that wasn't who they said they were. But through her, I met another lady, and met up with her, and of course she had big dreams and big goals, and got my hopes up, and made me feel like this is my big moment, and I was going to do big things and break into the industry. And she too turned out to be not exactly who she said she was. And all along through in this whole process, and I'm making this story as short as I can in the interest of time, but all along I was wondering, what did I get myself into? What is going on in my life? Why am I meeting these people? Is this what this industry is all about? Is this industry all about fake people promising fake things and nothing ever materializing? Were my parents right? Am I going to have to start bartending or working at a restaurant, living out of the backseat of my car? What in the heck did I get myself into? Well, through her, I met another lady who incidentally turned out to be loony as well. But through her, she happened to be a partial manager of a girl group that was signed to a relatively good record label. And this record label was having an industry party, and she invited me to attend and hang out with them. And so she introduced me to the label owner, and we hit it off and got talking, and I started talking with him, and he asked what it is that I did and everything like that. And I said, well, we're looking for a music director for our label. I don't know why, but he gave me a shot. Well, I kind of do know why. He gave me the shot because I was dirt cheap. I was willing to do the work for literally nothing. And I had some really good friends that graduated college with me that were performance majors, amazing musicians, and they were working at AT&T and serving at Chili's, and they too, like myself, just wanted to be in the industry. So I called them up, said, hey, I have this opportunity. Would you want to come out and go on tour with these pop and R&B artists and make very, very, very little money? And they said yes. So we did it, and we did a fantastic job. Everyone did really, really well. And through that opportunity, I met the artistic director of the record label. The artistic director had just come from Germany. She had worked as the artistic director for Warner Music in Germany. And this label hired her. She moved back here to Orlando and started as the artistic director for this label. And she'd been in the business for quite some time, done some big things. And we became really good friends. We hit it off, the music director, artistic director. We hang out. We work closely together. So we hit it off, and we became friends and everything. Anyways, one day Disney came to her, called her, and said, hey, we had a music producer back out at the last minute, and we need a music producer to do the music, do some of the music for Tokyo Disney. Do you know anyone? And she said, yes, my best friend is a great producer. Maybe you might want to give him a shot. So they called me, asked me for my demo. I went, submitted my demo. They called me, hey, come in, have a meeting. Had the meeting. They hired me to do the music for the show. I did a good job. They liked it. And a couple weeks later, they called me, said, hey, we have another show. Would you want to do that? Sure. Did a good job. All of a sudden, they were consistently calling me to do music for their shows. I was consistently doing a good job. So they asked if I wanted to be a full-time employee of their company, to be a full-time music producer. Dream job. And so obviously I accepted and became a full-time music producer with them. my point in all of this is to say that throughout all of that, I was constantly wondering at the beginning, why was I meeting all these people? Why was I going through all these things? Why were things looking so down? And today, I can stand here and directly connect everything in my life that's happened thus far, some of the good opportunities that I've had, have been through situations that I had no idea why they were happening to me, and they were quite unpleasant. So, to get to the point, I had to go through a lot of shady people. I had to go through a lot of shady situations, and I had to question everything I knew to be true. At the time I was going through all of that, I couldn't figure out why it was happening. I couldn't see the path ahead of me. I had no idea that all of that was leading me to get to a point where I was a full-time music producer working on music for Disney. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. You have to trust that something, whether it be a higher power, whether it be your gut, whether it be destiny, whether it be karma, whatever it is, you have to trust something. You have to trust that eventually the dots will connect. This will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even if it leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the difference. You have to truly believe that the dots will connect, and that will give you the confidence to follow your heart. My second story, fast forward 5 years, I'd been employed with this company full-time, working on great projects, large format shows, multi-million-dollar budgets, getting paid really good. I was basically living the dream. And without going into a lot of detail, I had a big falling out with the owner of the company. At that time, it's a really big misunderstanding. Everything's good now. I'm actually still working with him, but at the time it was pretty bad. And needless to say, he wasn't very happy with me. So I remember one specific day really, really vividly. I was driving into the studio, going into work. I had no idea about anything. I was just going into work. And I received a phone call on my phone, and I didn't recognize the number. And so I thought about just ignoring the call, letting it go to voicemail. I pulled into the studio and shut my car off and was like, well, I'll just take the call real quick. And so I answered it, and it was a vocal coach that had been recommended to me from another, one of the big Disney executives in the entertainment division. And he was wondering what my availability was to meet with him as he was in town for some business. I explained that I was just heading into work. I asked if I'd call him back at the end of the day. He said, sure thing, hung up, and I walked into the studio. When I walked into the studio, the owner of the studio, the production company, was there waiting for me. He called me into his office, and he fired me from my job. So I asked him if there's anything I could do, anything I could make it better. He said no. It's probably the best choice for all of us. And so at that moment, I thought my career was over. I thought that I'd have to start from the ground up. I thought that I would have to live out of my car and become a bartender or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but thought that that's what I was going to have to go do. Well, I went home, had a long cry, had a really nasty anxiety attack, called my parents, and they comforted me, told me everything's going to be fine, it's all going to work out. Again, the dots. Later that evening, I remembered I had to call that vocal coach back, and I called him, set up a meeting with him, met with him, and he had told me that a producer he'd been working with had become unreliable and was looking for other producers to work with his vocal students, and that I had come highly recommended from that Disney executive. Little did I know that the vocal coach that was calling me was one of the most sought-after vocal coaches in the world. He was working with a famous Canadian singer, so he introduced me to him. I hit it off with the Canadian singer, and we started producing music. I became his music director for many years, and the Canadian singer and I became really good friends beyond work. So fast forward a few years later, that same Disney executive that recommended me called me one day and said, hey, Beyonce and her team are in the park hanging out, or they're coming to the park, and I was wondering if I would like to join them and hang out for the day with Beyonce and her team. I was like, wow, that's really cool. Would you mind if I invited my friend, the Canadian singer? He's like, sure, invite him. So I invited my Canadian friend, and we went to the park and hung out all day with the entire team. And Beyonce's manager became quite attracted to my friend and started dating. So she would fly into town, and of course, him being my best friend, we would hang out, and all three of us and everything. And she knew that I was working with him, so she asked that I would submit some demos, that Beyonce was looking for some new music for a new project. I did. Everything worked out, and I did some cool things. All of that to say that I guarantee you in life that life is going to hit you with some bricks. You're going to come across situations that are downright painful and unexpected, and you're not going to know what to do. And my advice for you is to get up, dust yourself off, and continue on. Not with a blind and endless direction, but with a focus and intent to do great things. If your heart is in the right place and you trust yourself, you're going to go far in this world. Thank you. So my third story is it's pretty personal. My father, about a week after I got hired here at school, had a heart attack and rushed home. Doctors were confident they fixed everything, but when he woke up from his anesthesia, he didn't know me. So that was pretty difficult. And so he didn't know me, and I thought, my father and I, my mom, my dad, and I were very close. And so that was really tough. And so I thought at that time that I would never make my father proud again. I never thought that I'd be able to say things that I always wanted to say to him. I thought that everything in the 40 years that he knew me was lost forever. So all of that to say, just a quick story, but all of that to say, never put off tomorrow what you can do today. Don't procrastinate. Say the things that you need to say, do the things that you need to do, and do it now. Don't wait for the right opportunity. Don't think that the time is not perfect. Go out and make the opportunities for yourself. Do great work and make your family proud. Make your instructors, us, proud. But most importantly, make yourselves proud. Go out and do big things. Don't be afraid to have lofty dreams. Don't question the reasons why things are happening the way they are. Just trust the process. I just want to say congratulations on your graduation. You've all worked so hard to be here. Enjoy this day, celebrate and revel in this happiness, but tomorrow morning, please, wake up and get to work. You're just starting your journey. This is a commencement. A commencement is a start, not an end. Thank you.
F.I.R.S.T.